Brandy's Journey. Aunt Brandy, Chili's elusive sister, first graced us with her presence in the episode Onesies. It was a big deal, not just because we finally met her, but because her story brought a level of emotional depth that hit us like a Bandit dad joke gone wrong. Now here's the thing, Brandy hasn't been around because she was dealing with infertility, a subject so delicate yet relatable. However, Bluey tackled it with its signature grace and warmth. Remember that moment when she gave Bingo the onesie? It's a small act, but the emotional weight behind it is so profound. The way she looks at that baby onesie, wistful yet hopeful, left many viewers with tears. But wait, there's a plot twist. By the end of Season 3, the sign episode, Aunt Brandy returns. And guess what? She's pregnant. Talk about a glow-up. Fans went from, "Why hasn't Brandy visited in forever?" to, "OMG, is that a baby bump?" It's a beautiful full-circle moment. What makes Brandy's story so relatable is its subtlety. It's not shoved in your face. Instead, it's right in the narrative. And let's not forget the sibling bond between Chile and Brandy. That scene where Chile talks about missing her sister? Whew, it's enough to make even Bandit put down his takeaway spring rolls and give Chile a hug. Grandpa Bob's absence. Grandpa Bob, the Healer family patriarch, is the Bluey universe's biggest Where's Waldo case. This lovable mystery man pops up briefly in the episode Christmas Swim, only to disappear into the sunset like he's on a lifelong outback road trip. So, where is Grandpa Bob? Did he retire to a cozy beach hut somewhere? Or is he just that uncle who mysteriously goes out for milk and returns years later with a suntan and stories about living off the grid? Bluey doesn't spill the beans outright, but the breadcrumbs are enough to keep us guessing. In Christmas Swim, Grandpa Bob shows up as a delightfully quirky character. He's friendly, full of holiday cheer, and gives off serious, wise old healer who's seen it all vibes. But after that, nada, zilch. The Healer family never mentions him again. Is he off chasing emus in the outback? Or maybe he's living his best life in some exotic locale, sending postcards that Chile and Bandit conveniently forget to show the kids. The beauty of Bluey is that even minor characters leave a lasting impression. Grandpa Bob's brief appearance in Christmas Swim is enough to spark endless speculation. Is he a free spirit who couldn't be tied down? Did he choose to step back from the family for personal reasons? Or is he just a busy dude living his best life somewhere in the great beyond? A flashback episode featuring Grandpa Bob would be pure gold. Or, better yet, give us an entire Bluey special where Grandpa Bob finally returns, spinning wild stories about his travels, leaving Bingo in awe and Muffin demanding to join him on his next adventure. Radley and Frisky's relationship. We first see Rad and Frisky together in the episode Double Babysitter, and oh boy, the sparks are undeniable. Radley, Bandit's younger brother, is your classic fun-loving, slightly cocky uncle. Meanwhile, Frisky, Chili's best friend and Bluey's godmother, is calm, sweet, and a little shy. Together, they're opposites in the best way possible. A walking rom-com trope waiting to happen. It's like Bluey decided to sprinkle in a little Hallmark magic for the grown-ups. Their first encounter? Awkward and adorable. Rad does that thing where he tries too hard to impress Frisky, and Frisky does that thing where she smiles politely but clearly doesn't know what to do with all the attention. Part of the appeal is how relatable they are. Rad is every overconfident person who's ever flubbed a first impression, and Frisky is every introvert who gets stuck in an awkward conversation but can't bring herself to escape. But beneath the awkwardness, there's a genuine connection. Rad's attempts to charm Frisky feel more like nervous excitement than showboating, and Frisky's quiet warmth balances out Rad's energy perfectly. And let's not forget, Radley is a surfer dude with a soft heart, and Frisky is a nurturing godmother who clearly cares deeply for the Healer kids. It's a classic case of opposites attract. You can't help but root for them even when Rad's antics make you facepalm so hard you leave a mark. It's the kind of slow-burn romance that has fans saying, "Just kiss already." Chili's mother. If you've ever watched Bluey and thought, "Wow, Chile is basically the gold standard of motherhood," you're not wrong. But here's the thing, greatness like that doesn't come out of thin air. enter Chile's mother, a figure we know surprisingly little about, yet who casts a significant shadow over the Healer family. Who was Chile's mom? What's her story? Bluey has never explicitly introduced us to Chile's mother. What we do know, though, comes from subtle hints and Chile's own moments of vulnerability. There's a quiet, unspoken grief in some episodes. Camping and Sleepy Time come to mind, where you can almost feel Chile's connection to her mom, even though it's never outright stated. Is her mother no longer around? Did she teach Chile all the wisdom we see her pass on to Bluey and Bingo? Whatever the case, her influence is felt throughout the series, making her absence all the more present. Take the episode Baby Race, for example. Chile reflects on her struggles as a new mom, trying to find her footing while feeling like everyone else had it all figured out. It's such a relatable moment, but it also feels like a quiet nod to her own mother, who might have gone through the same thing. It's like Chili's saying, "Hey, I see you, Mom. Thanks for passing down the 'you've got this' gene." Muffin's speech development. Muffin Healer, Bluey and Bingo's pint-sized and hilariously dramatic cousin, has a personality larger than life and a speech pattern that's just as unique. Her protracted phonological development, meaning her adorable inability to articulate certain sounds perfectly, gives her character an added layer of authenticity and relatability. If you've ever spent time around toddlers or young kids, you'll know exactly what I mean. They all have their own quirks when it comes to mastering language, and Muffin is no exception. Phonological development refers to the process young children go through as they learn to produce and use the sounds of their language correctly. It's a fancy way of saying that kids don't start out talking like Shakespeare. The show doesn't try to fix Muffin's speech either, which is an important message in itself. Sock's growth milestones. Let's talk about Socks, Bluey and Bingo's adorable, often overlooked cousin. Socks might not get as much screen time as Muffin. Who could, really? But her growth milestones tell a sweet and subtle story about toddlerhood, development, and just how chaotic a little pup's world can be. When Socks first waddled onto the screen, she wasn't exactly setting verbal records like Muffin. Instead, she was the typical toddler, a curious, crawling ball of fluff who communicated with growls, giggles, and the occasional roar. She couldn't walk, couldn't talk, and yet she somehow still managed to be the boss of her little world. And oh, when she starts walking, her walking also sets the stage for more sibling and cousin interactions. Now she's not just the baby, she's part of the gang. Fans want to see more of Socks in future episodes. Will she get her own spotlight storyline, like Muffin in Library? Will she finally learn to keep up with the big kids? Or will she continue to quietly steal scenes so adorably? There's also the potential for some hilarious milestones ahead, like potty training disasters, first attempts at drawing, or her reaction to sharing toys. Bandit and Stripe's sibling rivalry. If there's one dynamic in Bluey that deserves its own reality show, it's the sibling rivalry between Bandit and Stripe. These two brothers may be grown adults, but they squabble, tease, and compete, like they're still kids fighting over the last chicken nugget. And let's be real, sibling rivalry doesn't just happen when you're an adult. It starts in childhood chaos, long car rides, and fights over who got the better Christmas present. In the Healer family, Bandit and Stripe clearly have a long history of one-upping each other. While we haven't seen many flashbacks to their younger days, the moments we do get, like in Fairy Tale, hint at a childhood full of mischief and competition. Can't you just imagine a little Bandit sneaking the last cookie and Stripe, tattling to their mom? These two probably drove their parents up the wall. But hey, that's what brothers are for, right? Chile and Brandy's teenage adventures. Chile and Brandy as teenagers? Oh, the possibilities. These two sisters may seem all cool and collected as adults, but let's not pretend they didn't have their fair share of teenage chaos. If there's one thing fans are dying to know, it's the kind of adventures, or misadventures, these two got into during their wild teenage years. Were they the partners in crime kind of siblings, the steal each other's clothes duo, or maybe the you tell mom and you're dead team? Either way, we need answers, stat. teenage Chile and Brandy probably gave their parents more headaches than Muffin on a sugar rush. Whether it was sneaking out for a late-night adventure or pulling off some elaborate prank, these two were likely experts at towing the line between fun and grounded for life. The idea of teenage Chile and Brandy is so appealing because it adds layers to their already rich characters. Radley's career change for family. Let's start with where Radley's career began. In my headcanon, he's the kind of guy who started out as a professional adventurer, maybe a travel blogger, surf instructor, or even an extreme sports photographer. You know, the kind of job where he could wear board shorts to work and call it a productive day if he got a killer photo of a sunrise. But here's the thing, Radley actually worked on an oil rig in Western Australia, limiting his family visits. After marrying Frisky, he quit his job and moved to the city to stay close to his family. Radley's decision to change careers likely wasn't just about money, it was about wanting to be there for Frisky and their future pups. Yes, we're manifesting Radley and Frisky's family arc. Frisky's past relationship. Ah, Frisky, the cool, laid-back yet mysterious aunt of the Healer family. But let's face it, like all of us, Frisky has a past. And as Bluey fans, we can't help but wonder, what's the story behind her past relationship? Who is the one that got away, or the one she happily left in her dust? Bosco, Frisky's former beau, might not have been the perfect match, but he certainly provides ample fodder for some hilarious and touching moments in Bluey. He's the type of character who seems cool on paper. Fun, spontaneous, and full of energy. But in practice, he's the one who leaves his laundry on the floor for weeks or eats cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row. Not exactly the type you'd want to settle down with if you're Frisky, who has probably learned the value of consistency and reliability. At some point, Frisky probably had the big "we need to talk" moment. You know the one, where you sit down, take a deep breath, and tell the person you're with that they're amazing, but you're just not on the same page. Then she met Radley, the man who would go on to show her that commitment and fun can coexist. Now, Bluey writers, if you're out there, let's get that Bosco storyline in the books. We need comedy and closure.